Nerdy Sports Fan here with your preview of the NFC Championship game. Who thought it was going to be all chalk last week, right? We got number 1 seed New Orleans Saints going up against the number 2 seed Los Angeles Rams. Now, when you're talking about this game, you really need to break down a few games that happened earlier this season. Obviously, the Rams played the Saints in the Superdome earlier this year and got spanked. In that game, Michael Thomas went off. He had 200 plus yards. They just had no answer for him. And the Saints defense did enough to slow down the Rams attack and came out on top. There just wasn't enough on the Rams defense to do anything against the Saints. And the Saints had enough on their defense to at least slow down the Rams. So you would think that's going to happen again, right? Well, later on, the Saints had the formula put out for beating them by the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys went after Drew Brees. That defense was lit that game. And they dominated in the running game. Ezekiel Elliott and that offense controlled the tempo. The defense got after Drew Brees. They controlled the tempo on offense. Saints, I think, scored only 10 points in that game. Now, Dallas only scored 13, but that's a win. And does Los Angeles have the staff for that? Probably not. Can they take elements of it? Absolutely. Aaron Donald, nobody can match up against him at all. So there's a guaranteed double team, if not triple team, on him from the linemen every down. So what do you do with the people on the peripheral? You can blitz. Now, Wade Phillips doesn't blitz all the time, doesn't blitz often, really, but he absolutely can. He ran the defense for the Denver Broncos when they won the Super Bowl. And they knew how to get after the quarterback. They had talent on the edge in Von Miller, the talent on the Rams' defenses up the middle in Aaron Donald, so it's a bit different. But he knows how to do things schematically in order to create pressure. And that can happen here. Now, on the opposite side of things, you had Philly destroy the Rams. I say destroy because the Rams were up by a great deal in that game. Nick Foles comes in, and Philly's a different team all of a sudden, and they dominated, offensively and defensively. The Philly defense did more than enough against the Rams. They just stopped them cold late in that game. And Philly's offense was very, very multiple. You had a lot of motion. You had multiple different receiving targets being used. The running game was good enough. Didn't have to be great because, well, the Rams' defense at that point was just Aaron Donald. And yes, he's fantastic. But if your only offensive game plan needs to be run away from Aaron Donald, it becomes pretty easy. So take those 2 losses from both teams into account. And now fast forward to the playoffs. The Rams demolished the Cowboys, who previously beat the Saints. The Saints beat the Eagles, who previously beat the Rams. So both teams have been able to beat teams that matched up well against one another. And the Rams have some major changes that happened late in the season for them. So the Cooper Kupp injury changed their offense dramatically. Late in the season, Todd Gurley got injured. That changed their offense dramatically. They had to pick up C.J. Anderson on the fly. He proved to be a very, very capable back. And now their offense is far more bruising. You saw that last week. I mean, They decimated Dallas. They've put 2 different running backs for over 100 yards. And between the 2 of them scored 3 touchdowns. Not a lot of teams can do that. So that is very much a page out of the Dallas playbook from the win against New Orleans. It's just the offensive side of it, though. So all this being said, it's obviously going to be a very close game. Vegas has this at a 3.5-point advantage for the Saints. And if you follow betting, you understand that roughly 3 points is about what you give to the home team when it's even. So typically it's more towards 2.5. So they're essentially a point favorite on a neutral field. That's telling. They're very, very close. So who do you go with? Do you go with the team that's essentially built exactly the way that they were the last time they faced one another and won on the same field? Or do you go with the team that has revamped their offense out of necessity and found an even more powerful way of attacking teams? I like to go with complete teams in the playoffs. When you have offense and defense, running and passing, you have a lot of different options. And that is the Saints. The Saints were built for this. They're at home. They have the crowd on their side. They have a more effective defense than the Rams do. And they have 2 strong running backs and a very, very good passing game because of Drew Brees, who actually has a premier target in Michael Thomas. On the Rams side, they have a bruising running attack, which now probably is actually better than what the Saints have. But with the loss of Cooper Kupp, their passing game is not as dynamic as the Saints. And let's face it, their defense isn't as strong. And that's really the difference. Aaron Donald is one man. And I understand Aqib Talib is back in that lineup, but he's older. And whereas he can jam people, he's not going to be able to keep up with Michael Thomas. You're still going to need to have bracket coverage on that man. So Talib is best suited covering a second or third receiver one-on-one and allowing bracket coverage on Michael Thomas. That's what the Rams did last time, and it didn't work. So I expect it to be a different game than it was earlier in the season, but I expect the outcome to be very much the same. I have the Saints winning this one. It will be close. Absolutely will be close. C.J. Anderson and Todd Gurley will get theirs against the Saints defense. But the Saints defense, like Philly before them, will be able to do just enough to stop that offense so they can outscore them. I expect both teams to score in the 20s, not quite in the 30s. I would say the Saints got this 28-23. Enjoy it, though. This is going to be a great one.